Hey everyone, my name is Atik. Welcome to the very first video of Business Central. In this series of videos, I will be helping you through a journey of being or becoming a IT consultant, at least in Business Central. And if you don't know what Business Central is, it is an ERP system, and at some point it was called NAV. A few years ago, Microsoft changed its name to Business Central. And basically, a Business Central is a business management solution for small and mid-sized organizations. So it automates and streamlines business processes and helps a owner manage their business. So without any further ado of introduction, I would like to dive right into what Business Central is capable of. And our first thing would be to introduce our base case scenario. That would be a client coming to you, and as a Business Central specialist, the client asks you to implement the BC's platform for their organization, and he has set of requirements, and you will be fulfilling those requirements in the BC environment, which is a cloud-based environment in my case at least. So, in the consulting world, the word configuration simply means you are setting up the environment. So I will be using a lot of IT related terminology in which I will say that I will be configuring the environment or I will be configuring the chart of accounts, which we will get into. That means that I am setting up the environment or I am setting up the chart of accounts for business owners. So the very first thing that you need to do is to actually sign up for a 30-day trial in order to follow and keep up with what I am teaching you in my videos. And by doing that, you can simply go to Google, type Business Central, and you should be able to sign up for a 30-day trial. So once you do it, then you will log in and you will be shown a window like this, a very similar window like this. Depending on where your location is, I am located in Canada, so it's Cronus Canada. If you're in US, it'll be Cronus USA, and depending on wherever your region it is, it'll be Cronus something. So that is a template company that you're given or the Microsoft gives you in order to play around and learn everything that you could do in BC. So very first thing that you need to do when your client comes in, he asks you that can you build or configure the environment for me. What you need to do is actually create a company. You can't work with this company just because it already has sample data in it. So it is not relevant to the client to have data like this or the chart of accounts, which we will get into once again. So the very first thing you need to do is to actually create a company. So by doing that, you can go to my settings right here. And as you can see in edit my settings, there are a lot of options that you can use. There are roles, which we will get into at some point, the company name, the workday, region and language and time zone and etc. So for you to create a company, you just click on these three dots, a window will open, and then it has the option on the fast tab up on top to create a company. That's how simple it is. The only thing that I need you to be aware of is that when you create companies, it will ask you for four different options. One being that it is an evaluation company. That is simply a company that is similar to the demo company that you see right now in front of you as you sign up. And it has a sample data and a setup data, which we don't need at all at some point, to be honest, because a client always has its own set of requirements, so we don't need anything like that. But that is for your learning purposes. There's another option for production, and it's very similar to the company evaluation company, but it does not have a sample data. With advanced evaluation option, this will create a company with the setup data and complete sample data for all features, including manufacturing and service management. And lastly, you can create a company with no data, which in our case would be the optimal way to go because we will have set of requirements from our client and we will be configuring based on that. So once you select create new with no data, you will have a blank company. And the way you change company is the same way you actually created a company. So you just click on this, there will be a bunch of companies that you've created, select that company and press OK, and the new window will show up. In that window or in that company, there will be no data whatsoever. However, this is a demo company, so it does have data. So I will be teaching you um, how to configure based on what is already in this environment. So once you created a new company, then the next thing is to actually ask a client for the chart of accounts, because chart of accounts is the second most important thing when it comes to ERP systems or financial systems per se. So in order to actually import chart of accounts, there are actually two methods to do that. Let's first figure out where you can locate chart of accounts or where you can upload chart of accounts. Basically, go to finance. You see so many options which we will discuss as we go along in our journey to completely configure the environment. So click on chart of accounts. As you can see, chart of accounts, this is already populated because I had selected the very first option in which I have the sample data and everything uh, given to me by Microsoft to play around with. So this is how a chart of accounts would look like. And in our case, if it was our client who had asked us to actually build our ERP system from scratch, we will have no data whatsoever in here. So in order for us to actually create data, you can either go to new and manually create a chart of accounts which should be given to you by your client, or you can go to page and you can do edit in Excel. And this would open up an Excel sheet which can link to this cloud version, and you can fill out the Excel sheet and it will populate it in the cloud, and that's how easy it is. Only thing to note in if you want to follow that process is that you should have Office 2016 or higher in order for the linkage to happen. If you have anything like Office 2013, the linkage would not happen, and there's no need for you to actually populate the Excel sheet because you will not be able to import it. There's another option of doing it with configuration package, which is something separate that we will also discuss at some point later in the future. So let's move on to creating something manually. So if you, for instance, can take a base case scenario of having chart of accounts, and if you miss out an account and you want to create a new account, you can basically create new, or you can do something similar as go to page and edit in Excel, which is absolutely normal. So once you create new, you can see that few things are mandatory. One being the number. So you have to assign a number to the account, the name, a relevant name, obviously, and account category. So which account category it belongs to. The income statement and balance sheet would update as you select the account category. So let's try it out. See which one would change. See, so if you pick liability, it goes to balance sheet. So it is already built in, so you don't really have to think, but you can validate it with your client, saying that what accounts do you want them to be in income statement and which ones you want them to be in balance sheet. Moving on to postings and debit and credit. So these information should come from your client and how they want to structure their chart of accounts. Direct posting, that simply means that would you allow a user to post directly to this account using a GL entry. So you can select no or you can select yes based on what the requirement is. Then we can move on to general posting groups and general posting types. So that's something that we will discuss in our later videos. This is a very important thing that we should be looking at and spending some time in order to figure out what the purpose is and what it actually does. Now, since we have that chart of accounts covered, I will like to close our conversation for today here, at least for this module of the video, and I will discuss dimensions in the next video.